And pleasure for me to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Homayoun, Homayoun, who is not only a faculty, also is a founder of a new startup. It's called Health E-Tie Corporation. Is a pioneering company transforming clinical trials by enabling AI-powered research in real-world environments through a seamless, patient-friendly digital platform. He is also a professor at UC Davis and nationally recognized leader in hardware and embedded system security, directed by a major NSF-funded center. As one of them is IUCRC. Houman, could you please remind me the name of that center?
CHEST, Center
Yes,
for Hardware and
yes,
Embedded System Security.
is one of the very successful, actually, IUCRC program focusing on cybersecurity, and also you got the support from by the Department of Defense and industries like Amazon and Raytron and U.S. Congress initiative with over $25 million in research funding and numerous best paper awards. Dr. Homayoun brings deep expertise in digital health, AI, and cybersecurity to bridge innovation impact. He has a long bio. I encourage you to go to C2SHiP and look at his amazing achievement. And it's a great honor that he accepted that despite his busy schedule to contribute to our C2SHiP. Homayoun, the platform is yours. Please go ahead and share your slide.
Sure. Let me actually see if share sound. Okay. Everyone can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Bijan, for the kind introduction. I certainly appreciate it. Just a quick clarification and note is that my view today and what I present essentially is mostly my view as my role in Health Italy company, and doesn't represent my official position at UC Davis and University of California, Davis as well. So today I'm going to present transforming clinical trials and research and introducing well-being or WeBe ecosystem, which is a platform we developed to support and power clinical trial, in particular when it comes to decentralized clinical trial. Today, based on some of the report that released about a few months back in January in one of the major clinical trial conference, Scope, roughly 2% of clinical trials are relying on digital devices for remote monitoring. But, oops, I think something changed. Do you see my screen or?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, okay. Still
and Professor Homayoun, you sound great. So both are nominal right now. Absolutely terrific.
Okay, great, thank you. So essentially today, as I mentioned, only 2% of clinical trials they're using digital devices, but according to this report, they're anticipating that this number will change by 2028. We'll see about 70 to 80% of clinical trials adopting a remote health monitoring platform to be successful, to be able to collect high quality data. So this is the right time to bring devices, medical grade devices, to support clinical trial. And that's what essentially we are addressing at Health Italy. My talk outline today is as follows. First, I'm going to just one slide or viewing area of smart health and AI. I'm in front of experts, so not much needed to emphasize more on the importance of this area, how much opportunity exists in this area. Research needs in this area with a focus on clinical trials would be next in my talk. What WeBe ecosystem offers. Also, some study that we did, stress study and pain study using WeBe ecosystem, the importance of accessing to full stack system in smart health, from firmware to hardware and etc. And also deploying and testing TinyML. Those are all really important when it comes to deploying a machine learning algorithm, tiny machine learning on edge devices, including wearable devices, to support the smart health. So essentially today we are standing at the brink of a healthcare revolution. artificial intelligence essentially is everywhere, assisting, and it's a fundamental part of our health ecosystem. Wearable devices have evolved beyond just simple fitness tracking. Now they serve many purposes for continuously monitoring vital sign metrics, providing insight that only were accessible in clinical setting, but now essentially accessible to everyone. So with that said, I'll jump into the clinical trial. What are the problems in this domain, how we can address it, what are the needs in this area, and what HealthCTile is offering. Clinical trials and health research essentially rely on outdated, inefficient, and intermittent patient monitoring. They require bringing patient in, connect the patient to a bunch of non-necessarily portable devices, monitor the vital sign and others. And there are many studies show that if we move to decentralized clinical trial, we can reduce the cost of clinical trial by up to 50%, the time as well by 50%, up to 50%. We can increase retention time. So we don't require to bring patient into clinic. We can give them all the monitoring devices and remotely monitor patient in a real life, and what I like to call it as in the wild sort of a scenario, where we don't necessarily create a synthetic environment to collect patient data and only episodic for 2 hours. So decentralized clinical trial is very powerful, and if we can enable it, we can unlock many possibilities. The challenge is that also clinical trials are expensive, they're subjective, and inaccurate. Necessarily bringing one patient for 2 hours doesn't necessarily tell us much, especially when it comes to AI and smart health related research. Also, the data are mostly snapshot and incomplete, and it's very inefficient and doesn't reflect the real life. So this is what we are addressing at HealthCTile. The challenge of using digital devices to support decentralized clinical trial is, while there are a lot of great devices out there, consumer grade devices from Apple, Google, Samsung, Garmin, Xiaomi, and they're commercialized in the market for almost a decade now, and very rich in the type of data that they provide, but they are not really designed to address the needs in clinical trial and research. In particular, most of them, they don't provide researcher with access to signal, waveform, or raw data, okay? They also don't have necessarily diverse sensors. So one of the sensors that we designed, developed, and patented at UC Davis, and we are now essentially planning to deploy at HealthCTile, is a electrodermal activity or essentially EDA GSR sensor. A lot of smart devices, they don't necessarily need such sensor, because to have a good quality, you may need to change your electrode quite frequently, every maybe few months or so. And this is not what consumer grade market necessarily interested. And but it provides a lot of rich information that can assist in many smart health research and effective research, such as pain monitoring, stress monitoring, early sinus Alzheimer, and many more. Also, these consumer grade devices, they don't necessarily come with API SDK we need as researcher. They have a closed ecosystem for many reasons. Big companies, Apple, Fitbit, they're not interested in providing the API SDK without fully monitoring who's using it. And they have a very lot of rules and regulation that they need to deal with when they're selling to to consumer grade versus medical grade. In addition, the monitoring mostly is not necessarily continuous. For instance, heart rate monitoring on many of these devices are not continuous, are mostly on demand. But for smart health, we need continuous signal monitoring. Form factor also is another issue, or mostly in form of a watch form factor. In some cases, we don't necessarily need a watch form factor, we need something else. Battery lifetime mostly limited to 1 day because of the screen, because of many other powerful components to provide a good user interface, and so on and so forth. Also, they don't provide with software pipeline. No dashboard necessarily, patient dashboard, no signal processing box, no necessarily a mobile app to support patient in clinical trial, and no like AutoML that we need in this domain nowadays with the rise of machine learning and AutoML. Also, their costs could vary. If you want access to their API SDK, this number could go up the roof and quite expensive to essentially, especially covered by university research. So we are trying to address these needs in supporting clinical trial, and it's particularly decentralized clinical trial. The mission statement for HealthyTile is powering decentralized clinical trial through innovative data-centric WeBe ecosystem. And we offer WeBe ecosystem, which is an end-to-end solution for professional medical-grade health monitoring to support decentralized clinical trial. Let me play a short video, and please let me know if the audio is not good. This is essentially a sort of a cartoonish video and show what WeBe ecosystem is about, what its capability are, and what are the possibilities research that it supports.
Are you conducting research in smart health, telehealth, mobile health, or health analytics? Are you running a pilot study where you need a reliable way to measure stress continuously or collect physiological data from elderly to advance Alzheimer's research? Do you study physiological patterns in children to understand focus in the classroom? For these needs and more, you require a platform that seamlessly collects, stores, and processes physiological data with a diverse range of sensors, continuously ensuring high accuracy, security, and privacy, enabling extraction of comprehensive health and well-being insights. Introducing WeBe, your comprehensive health monitoring platform. WeBe consists of 4 key components: a wearable gadgets, a mobile application, a web dashboard, and an AI/ML suite for AI-based health outcome processing. The challenge in the field of smart health is that consumer-grade smartwatches don't meet all researcher needs. Our product offers distinct features for this, which includes over 1 week of battery life, an API which enable user to transfer data to their own Bluetooth-enabled devices or their own cloud storage solutions, an event button that allows users to record critical moments like stress or pain, and store labeled physiological data in the cloud, a mobile application for real-time health data monitoring, an all-in-one user-friendly web dashboard that offers data visualization, processing, and auto ML. With just 1 click, we prepare everything for you. In the WeBe platform, data is continuously transferred to a HIPAA-compliant cloud, accessible and analyzable in real time, making WeBe a powerful tool for scientific research. For continuous patient monitoring, the WeBe platform meets your needs, transforming health research. Choose WeBe for a comprehensive, reliable, and customizable health monitoring solution. Are you conducting research in smart health?
Oops.
Are you?
Okay, so with WeBe, we can unlock many possibilities in smart health research, including in mental health and cognitive science, infectious disease, and global health, remotely monitoring elderly folks for pediatric and elderly development, aging, military and workplace health, women and reproductive health, chronic disease management, sport and human performance, and many other possibilities. So let me now talk more about the WeBe ecosystem individual component. At the heart of WeBe, we have a wristband, which we call as WeBe wristband. And essentially, it's designed mostly to support long battery lifetime. And it has multiple sensors component, including it has a temperature sensor. It has a 4-channel PPG sensor running anywhere from 25 Hertz all the way to several hundred Hertz. Right now, we are supporting 25 and 100 all the way to 400 Hertz, but we can potentially increase that frequency as well to provide high fidelity PPG data. It also comes with electrodermal activity sensor, EDA-GSR sensor, which is actually embedded in the band of the WeBe. And it comes with accelerometer also running at all the way to 400 Hertz to collect movement data and similar. WeBe also equipped with many other AI-enabled solutions to monitor activity, motion artifacts, to remove noise on PPG data, to also for monitoring sleep tracking, stress detection, respiratory rate, and many more that are already, some of them already in the beta version, some of them they're already available, and we provide it as part of the entire ecosystem. Essentially, the way this ecosystem works is that WeBe band collects the data in an online or offline mode. Online mode is when it's connected to the phone, to Bluetooth, it collects the data, and in real time, user can see the vital sign. And we support also this real-time online mode. In offline mode, when a user, for instance, go to the daily activity or sleeping, and to support other cases when mobile is not in reach, the mobile platform, or which is a gateway, is not in reach, the WeBe wristband collects the data. It can collect all of these signal for continuously for 2 days. And the battery lifetime can be longer, but the memory storage is limited to 2 days, to roughly 48 hours. And once it's collected data, then when we have the mobile phone in reach, we can send the data from a mobile phone to the cloud. And the data is stored in Amazon AWS cloud infrastructure, which, as I show an example here, the clinician, the researcher can go and download all this data in form of Excel, and we provide more than 40 different biomarker and health insights. So our cloud, Amazon AWS platform, also allows clinician researcher to register patient, add patient, remove patient, record information about the patient. In addition, the WeBe wristband comes with an event button or event marker, which allows the patient to tag label the data. And the event marker is programmable. The patient can label the data, pressing 1, pressing 2 each, record different event during the clinical trial. And this is an example of how the web dashboard looks like. The clinician can visualize the data, can download the data, later pass it to the biostatistician or machine learning expert to do offline processing as needed. This is like a look at example of how the mobile platform looks like. You can see some of the EDA, electrodermal activity, HR, accelerometer, skin information, and some connectivity, also some other information in terms of like how many packets was sent, what's the progress. Given that we're sending a lot of data, we need to monitor, make sure that there's no packet loss, and a lot of other engineering challenges that we already addressed. So just in comparison to what other platforms are doing in the market and how WeBe is standing out, here I did a comparison of WeBe versus Shimmer, Actigraph, and Empatica. And we are offering more health insights. So for researchers, essentially, we are providing fall detection, SpO2 monitoring, activity detection. So we label each segment of data with whether the user is running, walking, or resting, so the signal can be interpreted accordingly. Sleep analysis, temperature, real-time monitoring, PPG also. We provide raw access to PPG data. This is most companies, as far as I know, there's no company out there that they provide access to raw green LED, IR LED, and also red LED. These are very important because we can also tune the strengths of these LED signal, and changing essentially also the integration time for the IR sensor, and with that we can tune the penetration depth of these photodiode sensor into the skin. And that can enable many, many interesting research, from blood pressure monitoring to glucose monitoring to hemoglobin monitoring, and you name it. Here I'm just presenting some of our early research on stress monitoring and pain monitoring, how WeBe can assist. Just a quick question, Bijan, how long more I have to?
If 10-15 minutes, that would be great.
Okay, sure. I'll try to wrap it up in 10-15 minutes. I have more slides, but I'll make sure I cover only for 10 and 15 minutes and the most important part. So there has been a lot of research show that the essentially stress, pain, affective states are correlated with vital sign. This is almost 10+ years of research, and here we're trying to see whether using WeBe we can collect data and we can essentially correlate pain level, stress level with vital sign that collected from WeBe band. And the pipeline that we have, we collect the sensory data, we do some simple ML processing to detect normal, abnormal signal, and then we communicate the data to the mobile platform, and on the mobile platform, we perform the complex ML. So the good thing about WeBe is that it also allowed the researcher to run different type of ML, tiny ML on the end device, edge device, and also more powerful ML on the mobile device. And in many cases, this is not only valuable, this is needed. So for instance, for fall detection, you want to detect fall detection on the mobile platform. You cannot really postpone it to the cloud infrastructure. It might be too late. So WeBe platform offers that capability as well. This is an example of a pipeline that we put together for essentially for stress and pain monitoring. It's almost common across the two. It involved a lot of signal data collection, data pre-processing, running some signal quality assessment on the device, such as PPG signal quality assessment, and so on and so forth, and then transferring the good quality data to the mobile device, and there do some analysis to find stress or pain. And for stress detection, here are cited some of the results from other studies, and some of our early results. We are roughly doing slightly better than existing study in terms of detecting the arousal and valence. So using some of the machine learning solution, this is essentially happening in real time, and we are not talking about offline data processing here. This is happening on the device as well as on the mobile platform. Use case study 2 is for pain detection. Similarly for stress, pain also shown that vital signals are proxies. They can be used to understand pain level, pain direction. And similarly, we use WeBe to essentially collect the data, send it to the mobile platform, analyzing it there. Knowing that pain can cause changes in the PPG signal, increase heart rate, decrease PPG, decrease heart rate variability, increase blood pressure, and potential changes in PPG waveform. PPG, good quality PPG is very important for pain assessment, in addition to EDA, electrodermal activity, which is an indication of autonomic nerve response. Increase the skin conductance level, SCL, increase the skin conductance response, SCR, and higher amplitude of SCR. These are all connected to EDA. So monitoring the EDA and essentially PPG together can give us a good indication of the pain. So for this research, essentially what we did, we used a pressure gauge. We apply pressure, identify the pain threshold and pain tolerance level, and in between the two, we divide it into certain level, and say from 1 to 4, and we ask the patient, as we increase the force from pain threshold to pain tolerance, the patient to assess whether the pain is increasing, by how much from 1 to 4, and that essentially give us a good range for individual, because that's really different from individual to individual. And as we are applying it, we monitor the physiological sign, and later we develop an offline machine learning algorithm from all this data that can connect the PPG and EDA to pain. What we also learn is that the EDA, we found it to be the most discriminatory signal among everything. And after that, PPG, heart rate variability, and others like skin temperature. But once we developed the offline algorithm, we deployed it to test and validate the solution. So the thing is, if we want to develop this offline, which is done by a lot of researchers, they collect the data offline, running it, running the algorithm on NVIDIA, high-end GPU, there is no limit in terms of computation, of how much. Now we have access to all these high-end GPU with millions of transistors, a lot of computing power, and we can get a lot of high accuracy solution. But when it comes to deploying this algorithm on edge, on wearable device with very limited computational capability and facing a real-world scenario, a lot of problem and challenges arises. And unless we deploy it and make this algorithm tiny, we are not going to see the gap in accuracy of what we get on NVIDIA high-end GPU that, for instance, a graduate student running in the computer versus what we can get on an edge device, either on mobile platform on WeBe. So WeBe ecosystem enable researcher to also understand that gap from something offline on cloud or desktop GPU versus running something in real life scenario on an edge device. So here I have a few slides about the importance of having access to full stack smart health research that WeBe offers. And essentially, just to show you why this is important for stress and pain, there are the ecosystem we need to design and develop it to support miniaturization of all these high-end machine learning algorithms to tiny microcontroller, ARM-based microcontroller that we have on this wearable device. And that requires a lot of compiler support, operating system support, third-party library support, Bluetooth library support, which we have addressed, and we are still trying to improve our ecosystem to give that ecosystem to researcher that they can run whatever they're running on their machine with literally a plug-and-play compiler, compile that high-end algorithm running on a desktop, convert it to an algorithm that they can deploy on WeBe. So the pipeline for TinyML, essentially inference, once we include WeBe in the picture, would change, because once we have this ecosystem in hand, we can do a lot of signal cleaning, signal quality assessment on the device, get access to high quality signal to feed it into our inference engine, rather than just feeding a noisy signal in real time to our inference engine. And the results are going to be substantially different. So that also changes when it comes to evaluating the computational efficiency of this algorithm. It changes the Pareto optimal curve. This is mostly for computer engineers and designer who eventually need to realize these complicated machine learning algorithm on the edge device. One challenge, for instance, for blood pressure monitoring. A lot of blood pressure monitoring algorithms that you see in literature using wearable device, they are deep learning algorithms. So they're great for cloud infrastructure. Even you cannot run it on your desktop machine. But now with this ecosystem in hand, we can potentially miniaturize these deep learning algorithm and run few layers of neural networks on edge device on WeBe, and then understand the trade-off that offers here, from accuracy to computational complexity, and at the same time not to suddenly depleting the battery. So this ecosystem allows also researchers to tackle the trade-off when it comes to accuracy, resiliency of the algorithm, as well as the computational efficiency. So for stress detection, we looked at multiple scenarios, and the pipeline that we have here, this is without essentially having WeBe, that compiler that compile high-end machine learning program to very tiny ML sort of program in hand. When we change that pipeline, we can do now some onboard signal cleaning, signal pre-processing, but at the essentially sacrificing or at the maybe cost of downgrading our machine learning algorithm. And the pipeline clearly changes here. The pipeline for machine learning from data pre-processing to signal quality assessment and so on and so forth. And in the interest of the time, I actually move to the result, how the result look like. So essentially, when it comes to the final result, this is what we have here, running everything on a computer versus running on some of these evaluation board like Jetson Nano and similar, versus running things on WeBe band. When it comes to stress detection, the accuracy that we get on a computer, 72%, 82%. But when we deploy that algorithm on a wearable device, on WeBe in this case, this practical, essentially stress detection dropped to 50% range, which is not acceptable. So that just explains why it is really important, or why all these research are great, that they do offline analysis, but when it comes to deploying it, the gap if it is large enough, then that essentially may call for redesign of the algorithm to begin with, even the offline algorithm. So WeBe platform allows researchers not just to collect high quality physiological signal, access to raw data, access to a lot of health insight, pain, stress, and many more, fall detection, SpO2, and so on and so forth, but also being able to deploy tiny machine learning algorithm from what they developed offline now on the wearable device. So how to deploy the TinyML on wearable device? Again, in interest of the time, I'm not going to go over it, but it took us some time to develop the ecosystem and how to essentially, we are running our firmware in the cloud. The user submit the machine learning algorithm to a cloud infrastructure. It binds with our firmware. We recompile the firmware and we can push a new firmware to the WeBe band. That, for instance, for fall detection, you have an offline fall detection algorithm. Now you want to run it on a device. That fall detection need to be integrated in the firmware of the device. We push it to the firmware. We need to recompile, and then we give the user a new hex file that the user can push to the device. Essentially, I think I'm almost out of time, 9:14. Hopefully I didn't go extra. So in conclusion, AI has dramatically accelerated the pace innovation in smart health, and the research, addressing the research needs is important. Decentralized clinical trial also gaining momentum. The concept has been around, but there has been a lot of challenge to access to high quality data, access to raw data, access to diverse sensor. This is essentially what we are addressing at HealthyTile. We are providing access to researcher, access to raw sensor data as raw as it can get, access to raw photodiode sensor that are used to measure heart rate and blood pressure and so on and so forth, electrodermal activity, temperature, accelerometer at high frequency 400 hertz, as well as process data such as blood oxygen saturation, fall detection, pain, and stress, and movement, labeling the data with movement, and many more. The WeBe ecosystem offer essentially an end-to-end solution. It is not just a wristband, it's an ecosystem with software support, AI ML support, cloud support for registering patient, adding patient, and so on and so forth. And also accessing to full stack system. This is very important to realize smart health application on edge and to bridge the gap between offline research and real world research. And this is essentially what we are addressing at HealthyTile. With that said, I'll be happy to answer any question.
Oh, thank you, Manju. Wow, that's amazing. So you changed the idiom, the famous idiom that one size doesn't fit all. You show that it seems that's not the case. You come up with this solution, it seems that fits everything. There are so many great questions. I saw that Kuyar also raised hands. I know that he's working with some of the great product as well. But a quick question for you, man. I mean, I love to use your device for our research. Actually, Dr. Armstrong sent me a note, said that our clinical trial, what we have for wound care, for adherence, we should use in that device. Now the question for you, if someone want to use your product, how much it costs, how they can initiate collaboration, and from where they should start?
Sure. The device actually is ready. Now it's commercialized, available online. You can order it on our website, HealthyTile website, and essentially currently we are working also with several universities. We already sold the device. We're a part of we partner with NXP, the big company in semiconductor. They demoed our device as part of their smart home ecosystem at Las Vegas CES show. So the devices are available in the market. Some of the essentially software solution that I presented today, including for researchers to be able to run TinyML on the edge device, compiler that takes the high-end machine learning code and convert it to tiny machine learning. Those are in beta version. The tests are already done. We already done extensive tests. And we are working with a few researchers in the country and also overseas to further improve the quality. But access to raw signal, 25 hertz sampling rate, 100 hertz sampling rate, these are all available with our current device.
Great. So do you mind to share the link to your website for those who would like to reach out to you and maybe using from those kind of services? Also, again, there are too many questions, but I am tempted to asking maybe a comment and sharing one experience that David knows well. I mean, it was about, I'm guessing 15 years ago. I'm all right, David, that Zephyr Life came to our hospital. We were in University of Arizona, and they designed very elegant chest-worn sensor that, by the way, later on was acquired by Medtronic. I put the link of that device on the chat box. But they said that we have a chest-worn sensor that can measure everything in the hospital, from sleep apnea to pressure ulcer to fall, to look at the vital sign, the stress, and they designed an elegant also remote patient monitoring portal. And then they said that we would like that you deploy in your hospital and monitoring the patient and make it much easier care for patient. I was excited as a researcher. Wow,
yeah, Bijan, not sorry for interrupting. By the way, Homayoun, that was great. But yeah, this all started, you remember, they underwrote Manish, who's now with Intuitive, Manish Barara's postdoc from when he came with us in Chicago. That was in the mid 2000s. And so that was the big idea even then. What was it, 2006, 2000, right around then. So
yes,
the idea has been iterating, and then now to see this kind of final kind of form factor, or this current form factor, is very, very exciting. I'll shut up now.
Yes, but there is one actually people that I'm guessing it helped them to get attention of Medtronic. It was that when we start deploying in the hospital, then our hospital administrator shut down the project. They said that we don't want to have so many problems, so many metrics. Maybe it can cause some liability issue for us. Maybe, for instance, if they are showing a sleep apnea and we are not providing treatment for sleep apnea, then we will have a problem. And there was a problem to seeing that how we can making those metrics on very simplistic and actionable for the nurse. I'm suspecting that on clinical trial might be the same. I serve as a consulting for a couple of pharma for adopting digital health, and this is what they said. They want to have a single or maximum 2 metrics that they understand very well what that means and are very reliable, that can be served as primary or secondary outcome. And they don't want to have more measurement, because if they are disclose them and they are not going to direction of what they are expected, they said that FDA can actually start to scrutinize that. What that means, why that metric is not going to right direction, what is the interpretation for you, what's the risk for that. So this could be a risk to deploy some of the solution that provide many metrics. Roche did a great example. I'm guessing they partner with a company that they came up with, for instance, 90 percentile of walking bout or maybe walking speed. I don't remember, but they used these as a single metric. And finally, FDA accepted this for one of their drug as a primary outcome, and many other pharma, they're trying to adopt that program. If I remember, there was maybe media data that provide those metrics. So what is the solution? What do you recommend? Of course, you can having your endpoint market toward the researchers like us, or you want to making the system that adopted for the clinical trial by pharma company. What is your target market currently?
So that's a good question. I think the bar for pharmaceutical and clinical trial clearly is higher than university researcher. And since we make the platform. So the platform essentially has been released to the market about 6 months ago, and we haven't done any advertisement, nothing, just brought the website live. And since then, we've been receiving requests from university researchers. But before that, we were working also with selected researchers at universities. They've been very patient with us because, as you know, developing a Apple quality, I would call it, of a device that support a clinician transfer all these data with Bluetooth at high frequency rate data collection. We're talking about 300 megabytes of data every day. And just sending them over regular Bluetooth channel takes 10 hours. 10 hours. 1 day of data takes 10 hours to send it to the mobile platform using standard Bluetooth. We had to even crack down the Bluetooth protocol to change it, to be able to realize. So what I'm trying to say is that there were many technological challenges that we had to work with, and we've been working with university and academia to address, including missing connectivity, signal quality, PPG signal quality, and many more. We are still like to work with university and academia to support the research. And in parallel, we're pursuing FDA route. FDA route is not required if you are even submitting a FDA application for your smart health platform or anything else. You don't need necessarily to use FDA cleared device. But pharma and clinical trials, the companies, sites, they like to have. It's kind of a must to have. FDA clearance.
That's great. There are so many questions. I would like to go to the question, but it's amazing. And Michael, thank you so much for sharing that paper and that digital biomarkers. Michael, you ask great questions. I would like that you go through your questions and elaborate on your comments.
Well, first of all, John, you can be my speaker very well. So you elaborate on quite a few points that I would like to bring up. I am the customer of this whole development, and I can just repeat a couple key points. One is that it is the translation which is a big problem for us, not the measurement per se. So the sensor, if I basically divide 100% effort into sensor versus translation, it will be 20% of sensor and 80% of translation. And this is where our main challenge is in pharmaceutical research. Secondly, of course, Bijan is completely right. If we want more data, we are being held liable for everything we collect in pharmaceutical research. Remember, this is mostly pivotal clinical trials, and everything needs to be explained to FDA. So we're extremely careful and selective of what we want to measure and how we want to measure, and try to avoid additional measures which go kind of outside of the scope of what exactly the primary and secondary points or safety points in the trial. And then I think elaborated a couple times in this forum that after doing this for 7 years in pharmaceutical research, I'm a medical device developer originally, so I'm coming from your side. So originally I was developing algorithms and sensors, and then I switched the side to pharma to help them to use the algorithms and sensors in the pharmaceutical research. After doing this for 7 years, the usability and human factors moved from like position number 3 on my list to the position number 1 on my list, with the huge gap between second and third position, whatever it is, even translation. So if patients are not using the sensors, then there is no need in translation. There is no use for the data because there is no data. So it's kind of a very important factor, and we are increasingly discussing ambient ways of monitoring. It is kind of just, to provide you a little bit of scope of the industry needs going into the future. So our number one priority is adherence. And wearable devices in general, we kind of came to this conclusion already. I'm sorry to say this, but this is not the best candidate in general for covering for that need. But there is, on the brighter side of the story, obviously, there is a lot of engineering that can go into ambient monitoring. So as far as your domain of expertise is concerned, you're safe in the sense that, yeah, we need actually much more technology, not much less. But of course, together with the translation. I'm sorry for the lengthy intro into this, but I just wanted to provide you with some feedback from the fields.
Great, that's amazing. I would like to hear from Kuyar as well, because I know that in some of the nursing home they are also deploying some elegant wearable as well. Kuyar, go ahead.
Thank you, Bijan. Houman, thank you very much for the great talk. I mean, every week, as you know, we get together here for our think tank meeting, and it's rarely a talk so relevant to C2SHiP. There are actually two companies at C2SHiP that have they do share some of the technologies that you are working on. One of them is CarePredict. I put it in the they also have a wearable that they use, and they have your some if you had a chance to compare with them, and also Vibrant when it comes to clinical trials. They also have some features of that, and we have some students that are working comment, and I would really like to see if how we can collaborate with you and how we can have you involved with our center. Questions, please. Collins, are you there, Collins?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Put it in the
Can you hear
chat.
me?
One that
So Kuyar, it seems that you're dropping off, so it's very hard to hear that. But calling is there. So again, we are running in time, but that's the beauty of those meetings. We would like to build in collaboration. You're absolutely right. There are many working on this area. They have a great interest there, but I believe that the way that we can be successful and impactful is building partnership, finding the synergy, coming together and collaborate together. And I believe that's C2SHiP that can make these a reality.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I'd like to maybe also.
More things this summer.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
there are a voice, but let's conclude
adventurous,
that
a bit
Collins,
scary.
your microphone is open.
Yeah, this is a big.
Okay, so I cannot mute that, sorry.
So,
But thank you, everyone. I really appreciate Dr. Homayoun. I'm trying to find a way to share the chat box because there were several comments and questions came up here. And as you hear, there are many interests in collaboration with you. We are hoping to find a way to doing partnership. I like also this marker button that you have. This is very elegant addition. Well done. And definitely I'm looking forward to use your product actually in our ongoing research and many collaboration. Thank you again, everyone, for your contribution, and happy Memorial Day, and looking forward to see you all next week.
Thank you so much, Bijan, and thank you, everyone, especially the last two questions. Michael question was great, and I'll be in touch with you, Michael, offline. We did a customer discovery, and we learned a lot about like how generational things are really affecting the usage of wearable device. But we are very interested to collaborate with everyone and for teaming up for the research, to support the research. And thank you, Bijan, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.